The text came Thursday evening while I was reviewing Q1 earnings reports in my home office. 3 years of building in silence, and my sister Rachel still thought I worked retail at the mall. I wasn't hiding. I was watching. Rachel had always been the golden child. Stanford MBA. Engagement to Marcus Chin, whose family ran a prestigious investment banking firm in Manhattan. Our parents had spent my entire childhood holding her up as the standard I'd never reach. "Why can't you be more like Rachel?" became the soundtrack of my life. When I was 16, I told our parents I wanted to start an online business selling vintage clothing. Dad laughed so hard he choked on his coffee. "Sweetie, leave the business ideas to Rachel. You're more of a helper. Maybe you could work in her company someday." Rachel smirked. "I mean, retail is perfect for you, Em. Low pressure. No real responsibility." I stopped sharing my ideas after that. At 18, I got a part-time job at a boutique in the mall. What my family didn't know was that I was studying every aspect of the operation. Inventory management, customer psychology, pricing strategies, supplier relationships. The owner, Margaret, was 67 and treated me like the daughter she never had. "You have an eye for this," Margaret told me after 6 months. "You see patterns I miss." I spent my evenings taking online courses in business analytics, digital marketing, and supply chain management. I saved every penny from my retail job. I watched, learned, and planned. Meanwhile, Rachel sailed through her MBA program. Every family dinner became a celebration of her achievements. Internship at Goldman Sachs. Job offers from 3 top firms. Promotion to associate director at 26. "Your sister is going places," Dad would say, looking at me with barely concealed disappointment. "Maybe she can help you get a better position at a corporate store or something." I smiled politely. Maybe. What they didn't see was the spreadsheet on my laptop. The business plan I'd refined 47 times. The supplier relationships I'd been building through Margaret's connections. The gap in the market I'd identified. Sustainable vintage fashion for Gen Z consumers who wanted unique pieces with verified authenticity. When I was 23, Margaret got sick. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. She called me to her hospital bed and handed me a folder. "I'm leaving you the boutique," she said. "Not because I pity you. Because you're the only person who understands what I built here. What it could become. Margaret, I can't. You can. And you will." Her grip on my hand was surprisingly strong. "But Emily, promise me something. Don't let anyone make you small. I watched your family at that Christmas party. They don't see you. Build something so big they can't look away." She died 2 weeks later. Left me the boutique, her supplier contacts, and $47,000 in savings with one instruction: make it matter. I took a week to grieve. Then I got to work. I kept the physical boutique running. My family still thought that's all I did. But I'd also launched an e-commerce platform, AuthentiVintage. Every piece verified, authenticated, and accompanied by its history. I hired 3 college students to help curate pieces. I developed an authentication process that became industry-leading. The first year we did $340,000 in revenue. I lived in my studio apartment, ate ramen, and reinvested everything. My family never asked about my life. At Christmas that year, Rachel announced her promotion. I brought a bottle of wine and listened to everyone celebrate her brilliance. "Still at the boutique?" Dad asked during dessert, the way someone might ask about a terminal illness. "Yes," I said simply. "Well, everyone's path is different," Mom added with practiced sympathy. "Not everyone is cut out for corporate success." Rachel squeezed her fiancé Marcus's hand. "At least Emily has job security. Retail always needs workers." I smiled. That's true. By year 2, AuthentiVintage was doing $4.2 million in revenue. I'd hired a full team: authentication experts, photographers, customer service specialists, a head of logistics. We'd expanded into vintage luxury goods, handbags, jewelry, watches. Every piece verified by industry experts. I moved into a better apartment but kept it modest. Drove the same 10-year-old Honda. Wore clothes from our own inventory. The only indulgence was my home office. 3 monitors, ergonomic everything, and the best tech money could buy. My parents thought I'd finally upgraded from a studio. They'd never actually visited, so they didn't know the second bedroom was now my war room. Floor-to-ceiling whiteboards tracking expansion plans, supplier relationships, and market analysis. Year 3 changed everything. A fashion blogger with 2.3 million followers bought a 1960s Chanel bag from us. She posted a video about our authentication process, our sustainability mission, and the story behind each piece. We went viral. Revenue hit $28 million that year. We expanded internationally. I brought on a CFO, a chief technology officer, and a head of growth. We raised $15 million in series of funding at a $180 million valuation. I maintained majority ownership, 73% of voting shares. Forbes reached out for their 30 under 30 list. I declined. Too visible. TechCrunch wanted to profile the mysterious founder of AuthenTVintage. I said no through my PR team. The Wall Street Journal had been persistent for 8 months. They wanted to do a feature on young entrepreneurs revolutionizing sustainable commerce. My PR director Sarah kept pushing me. Emily, this is the Wall Street Journal. This is legacy coverage. This puts you on the map with institutional investors, potential acquisition partners, and my family reads the Wall Street Journal, I said quietly. Sarah paused. Is that a problem? I thought about Margaret's words. Don't let anyone make you small. Schedule it, I told her. But I want publication control on timing. The interview happened in February. The journalist Patricia Morrison spent 3 days with me. Toured our authentication facility. Interviewed my team. Reviewed our financials. Why the secrecy? She asked during our final session. Most founders your age are building personal brands alongside their companies. Because I wanted to build something real before anyone told me I couldn't, I said. And because the people who should have believed in me didn't. I needed to prove it to myself first. Patricia's eyes softened. And now they can read about it in the Wall Street Journal. We scheduled publication for April 9th, Easter Sunday. Rachel's text arrived April 6th, 3 days before publication. Skip Easter. My fiancé's family are investment bankers. Your retail job would embarrass us. I stared at the message for a long time. Thought about all the dinners I'd sat through while they celebrated Rachel's achievements. All the comments about finding my path and doing my best. I could have told her then. Could have sent her the link to our Series A announcement. Could have mentioned the quarterly revenue that exceeded her annual salary by a factor of 40. Instead I typed, understood. Rachel responded immediately, thanks for understanding, Em. You know how important this is for my career. Marcus's parents are very connected. Can't have any awkwardness. I replied with a thumbs up emoji. Then I called Sarah. Move the Wall Street Journal publication to Easter Sunday. Morning edition. Front page of the business section if they'll do it. They've already agreed to front page, Sarah said. Are you sure about the timing? Absolutely certain. The article was titled, The 28-Year-Old Who Built a $240 Million E-Commerce Empire. How Emily Morrison Revolutionized Vintage Commerce While Everyone Thought She Worked Retail. Patricia had done her homework. The piece detailed everything. Margaret's mentorship, the bootstrapped beginning, the authentication innovation, the viral growth, the funding rounds, and the current valuation of $240 million. She'd interviewed our investors, our employees, and several industry experts who called AuthenTVintage the most important authentication platform in sustainable luxury commerce. There was a photo of me in our authentication facility, surrounded by vintage Hermes bags and Rolex watches, looking every inch the CEO I'd become. The article went live at 6 a.m. Easter Sunday. By 6:47 a.m., my phone started exploding. The first call was from my college roommate, Emily. The Wall Street Journal. Are you kidding me right now? Then my former professor. I just read the Wall Street Journal. I always knew you had something special. Then texts from business contacts, investors I'd met at conferences, former employees from the boutique. My PR director. Emily, we're trending on Twitter. Bloomberg wants an interview. CNBC is asking for a segment on Monday. I silenced my phone and made coffee. Imagine my family sitting down to Easter brunch at Rachel's future in-laws' estate in Connecticut. Imagine someone pulling out their phone to check the news. The first message from my family came at 9:23 a.m. Rachel, call me right now. Then Mom, Emily, we need to talk. There's an article. Then Dad, is this some kind of joke? I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I drove to Margaret's grave. Brought fresh flowers. Peonies her favorite. Sat on the bench nearby and read the article out loud to her. You told me to make it matter, I said to the headstone. I think we did it, Margaret. I really think we did. My phone buzzed continuously. I turned it off. By noon, my personal assistant texted my backup phone. Your family is calling the office. Your mom found the main line. She's called 14 times. Don't answer, I replied. At 2 p.m. I turned my phone back on. 47 missed calls. 63 text messages. Rachel's messages escalated from demanding to desperate. 9:23, call me right now. 9:45, Marcus's parents saw the article. 10:12, everyone is asking why I said my sister works retail. 10:47, his mother just asked why we uninvited you. 11:23, Emily, this is destroying my Easter. 12:15, Marcus's dad wants to talk to you about investment opportunities. 1:34, please call me back. His family thinks I'm a liar. Mom's messages followed a similar trajectory. 9:31, Emily, what is this article? Did you lie to them? 10:02, people are calling us asking about your company. 10:45, your father is very upset. How could you keep this from us? 11:30, Rachel's fiancé's family saw the article. They're asking why we didn't mention your success. 12:50, this is very embarrassing for us, Emily. We look like we don't know our own daughter. Dad's messages were shorter but more frequent. 9:38, is this real? 9:52, why didn't you tell us? 10:15, I need the name of your CF. 10:48, we should talk about investment opportunities for the family. 11:40, Emily, answer your phone. 1:15, this is unacceptable. We're your family. I made myself lunch. Responded to work emails. Scheduled meetings for the week. At 3 p.m., I finally replied to the family group chat with a single message. I'll be available to talk Tuesday after 2 p.m. Enjoy your Easter. Rachel called immediately. I let it ring. She texted, you can't do this to me. I replied, you uninvited me, remember? Your retail job would embarrass us. I'm just respecting your wishes. That was before I knew. Before you knew what? That I was worth talking to? That I was successful enough to acknowledge? You made it very clear what you thought of me. My phone rang again. Wait, then Mom, then Dad, then Marcus, Rachel's fiancé who I'd met exactly twice. I turned the phone off and spent the rest of Easter Sunday reading the responses to the Wall Street Journal article. The business community was buzzing. 3 acquisition inquiries came through my business email. 2 major investors requested meetings. CNBC confirmed their Monday morning segment. Tuesday at 2 p.m. I sat in my office and called my parents on video chat. They appeared on screen sitting on their couch, Dad in his reading glasses, Mom with her hair perfectly styled despite the obvious stress on her face. Emily, Mom started, her voice tight. We've been trying to reach you for 3 days. I said I'd be available Tuesday after 2. It's 2:01. Dad leaned forward. Young lady, you owe us an explanation. How could you keep something this significant from your family? I let the silence stretch. Took a sip of my coffee. Dad, when I was 16 I told you I wanted to start an online business. You laughed. Said business was for Rachel, not me. Said maybe I could work in her company someday as a helper. That was years ago. When I was 18 I got excited about the boutique job. You asked Mom if I needed help finding something with a future. At every family dinner for 10 years, you've asked Rachel about her career and asked me if I was still at that little shop. Mom's face flushed. We were concerned for your stability. You were embarrassed. There's a difference. I pulled out my tablet. Let me show you something. I shared my screen. Pulled up a document. A timeline of every family gathering for the past 5 years. Christmas 2020. Rachel announced her promotion. Gifts received. Mont Blanc pen from Dad, $500 gift card from Mom, family toast in her honor. I brought wine. You asked if I needed money for rent. Thanksgiving 2021. Rachel shared her engagement news. Celebration lasted 45 minutes. You asked me 3 questions total. Still at the boutique, was I dating anyone, did I need help with my taxes? Easter 2022. Rachel discussed wedding venues. When I tried to share that the boutique had a good quarter, Dad changed the subject to ask Rachel's opinion on wine investments. Christmas 2023. Rachel's bachelorette party planning. I mentioned I'd moved to a bigger apartment. Mom asked if I'd gotten a roommate to afford it. I looked directly at the camera. I stopped trying to share my life with you because you made it very clear you weren't interested. You didn't want to hear about Emily the boutique worker. You wanted to celebrate Rachel the success story. That's not fair, Mom whispered. Isn't it? Rachel texted me Thursday. Said I couldn't come to Easter because my retail job would embarrass her in front of Marcus's investment banker family. You were there when she sent it, weren't you, Mom? Because she told me, Mom agrees it's better if you skip it. Mom looked away. Dad's jaw tightened. I built a $240 million company while you talked about Rachel's achievements. I employed 127 people. I revolutionized authentication in vintage luxury commerce. I made Forbes radar 3 times and declined because I wasn't ready. And you never asked. Not once. Not in 5 years of building did you ever ask what I was actually doing with my life. You should have told us, Dad said, but his voice lacked conviction. Why? So you could tell me I was doing it wrong? So you could suggest Rachel help me do it properly? So you could take credit for supporting me when you did the opposite. I pulled up another document. Here's every instance in the past 5 years where I tried to share something about my business and you dismissed it, changed the subject, or redirected praise to Rachel. 47 separate occasions. The silence was deafening. I don't understand, Mom finally said. If you were so successful, why live so modestly? Why not tell us? Because Margaret taught me something important before she died. She told me to build something so big you couldn't look away. But also, I was testing you. Wanted to see if you'd ever value me for who I was, not what I achieved. If you'd ever ask about my life when there wasn't a Wall Street Journal article forcing you to care. Dad cleared his throat. Emily, that's not fair. We're your parents. We love you. Do you? Or do you love the idea of me now that I'm successful enough to acknowledge? Now that my company's valuation is bigger than Rachel's entire career earnings? Now that Marcus's parents asked why you uninvited me? Rachel told you about that? Mom looked stricken. Rachel's been texting me nonstop since Sunday. She's upset that Marcus's family thinks she's a liar for saying I work retail. She's panicking because his father wants to discuss investment opportunities with me. She's furious that I ruined her Easter. I lean back in my chair. But here's the thing. I didn't ruin anything. Rachel texted me that my job was too embarrassing. That was her choice. Her judgment. I just let her be right. I stayed away like she asked. You knew that article was coming, Dad said slowly. You timed it. The Wall Street Journal timed it. I just didn't stop them from publishing on Easter Sunday. Seemed fitting, actually. A resurrection story. Mom's hands twisted in her lap. What happens now? Now I continue building my company. I'm negotiating with 2 potential acquisition partners. One offer is $340 million. The other is $415 million with earn-out provisions. I'm also considering a Series B funding round that would value us at $600 million. I have CNBC tomorrow, Bloomberg on Thursday, and Forbes finally getting their profile. I paused, letting it sink in. And you continue your lives. Rachel plans her wedding. You celebrate her achievements. Nothing changes. Emily, please, Mom's voice cracked. You're our daughter. Am I? Then tell me something about my life that isn't in the Wall Street Journal article. Tell me one thing you know about who I actually am. The silence stretched for 30 seconds. 45. A minute. That's what I thought. I moved to end the call. Wait, Dad said sharply. We want to make this right. We want to be involved. I could help with your board strategy, and your mother knows people in fashion. No. The single word hung in the air. I don't need your help. I don't need your connections. I built this without you. Margaret believed in me. My team believed in me. My investors believed in me. The Wall Street Journal believed in me enough to run a front-page profile. The one group who didn't believe in me was my own family. That's not true, Mom protested. I pulled up one more document. Here's the business plan I wrote when I was 19. The one I wanted to show you at Christmas 2015. I still have Dad's email response. I read it aloud, Sweetie, this is sweet that you're thinking entrepreneurially, but these kinds of ventures require serious business acumen. Why don't you focus on being the best boutique employee you can be? Love, Dad. Dad's face went pale. I was asking for $10,000 to launch the e-commerce platform. That's it. $10,000 in your belief. Margaret gave me both when she died. She left me her savings and her faith that I could build something meaningful. Emily, we didn't know. You didn't know because you didn't ask. You didn't believe because I wasn't Rachel. I straightened my shoulders. But I'm not angry anymore. I'm grateful. Your dismissal taught me to build something so undeniable you'd have to acknowledge it. And I did. Can we see you? Mom asked quietly. Come to dinner? Maybe. Eventually. But not because you want to be associated with my success. Not because Marcus's parents are asking questions. Not because it's embarrassing that you didn't know. When you're ready to know me, Emily, the person, not the CEO, not the founder, not the Wall Street Journal profile, then we can talk. How will we know when you're ready? Dad asked. You won't. I will. And I'll reach out. I paused. But fair warning, I'm not interested in being your redemption story. I'm not interested in family photos for your Christmas card showing both successful daughters. I'm not interested in you telling your friends you always knew I had it in me. That's harsh, Dad said. Is it? Rachel uninvited me from Easter because my retail job was embarrassing. You've spent a decade making it clear I was the disappointing daughter. You don't get to rewrite that history because Forbes is calling. Mom was crying now. We love you, Emily. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. But love isn't just a word. It's attention. It's interest. It's belief. It's asking questions and listening to answers. It's showing up even when the achievements aren't Instagram-worthy. I softened slightly. Margaret showed me what that looks like. My team shows me every day. Maybe someday you will too. What about Rachel? Mom asked. She's devastated. Marcus's family keeps asking about you. Rachel made her choices. She can live with them. I checked my watch. I have a call with Bloomberg in 10 minutes. I need to go. Emily, please. I'll call you when I'm ready. That's all I can offer right now. I ended the call before they could respond. My phone buzzed immediately. Wait. I answered. What? Emily, you can't do this to me. Her voice was high and tight. Marcus's mother has been asking nonstop about you. She wants to introduce you to their investment partners. His father is furious that I told them you work retail. They think I'm either a liar or completely out of touch with my own family. You told them I work retail because you believed I work retail. Because you never asked what I actually do. You never told me. Rachel, when was the last time you asked me a question about my life that wasn't condescending? When was the last time you had a conversation with me where you weren't explaining how the world works or comparing my life unfavorably to yours? Silence. That's what I thought. Kept my voice even. You texted me that my job would embarrass you. Those were your words. Your judgment. I just honored your request and stayed away. But you knew. You knew that article was coming and you let me. Let you what? Tell the truth about how you see me. Rachel, you didn't think I was worth inviting to Easter. That's real. That's who you are. The Wall Street Journal article didn't change that. It just made it inconvenient. This is ruining my engagement, she said, and there was real panic in her voice now. No. Your choices are ruining your engagement. You uninvited your sister because you were embarrassed by who you thought she was. Marcus's family is realizing that says more about you than it does about me. So you're just going to let my relationship fall apart? I'm not doing anything to your relationship. But Rachel, think about it. If Marcus's family respects me more because I'm successful and respects you less because you dismissed me, what does that tell you about their values? About his values? She was quiet for a long moment. I don't know what to do. That's not my problem to solve. I gentled my voice slightly. But here's some free advice. Stop trying to manage what other people think. Stop performing success and start being genuine. And maybe, just maybe, ask yourself why you needed to exclude your sister to feel worthy of your fiancé's family. She trailed off. I'm sorry. For what I said. For uninviting you. Are you sorry you said it or sorry it backfired? Another long silence. I don't know, she finally whispered. Then figure it out. When you know the difference, call me back. I paused. And Rachel? I hope Marcus is worth it. I hope his family is worth it. Because you traded your relationship with your sister for their approval. Make sure it's worth what it cost. I ended the call. The CNBC interview Monday morning went viral. The host, Sarah Chin, didn't pull punches. Emily, your family didn't know about your success for 5 years. That's extraordinary. Why the secrecy? It wasn't secrecy. It was silence. There's a difference. I wasn't hiding, I was building. And I was waiting to see if my family would value me for who I was, not what I achieved. And they didn't? They didn't ask. For 5 years they didn't ask what I was doing, what I was building, what my days looked like. They saw what they wanted to see, the disappointing daughter with the retail job. Your sister uninvited you from Easter because she said your job would embarrass her. That must have hurt. It clarified things. Sometimes the cruelest gifts are the most honest ones. Rachel showed me exactly how she saw me. The Wall Street Journal article didn't change her perception. It just made it embarrassing for her to admit it publicly. The clip got 4.3 million views in 24 hours. Comments flooded in. I wasn't hiding, I was building. That's going on my wall. The fact that her family didn't ask for 5 years tells you everything. Sometimes the cruelest gifts are the most honest ones. This woman is speaking truth. Bloomberg ran a follow-up piece. Emily Morrison and the Cost of Conditional Love. When family support depends on achievement. Forbes finally got their profile. The founder who built an empire while everyone thought she worked retail. Emily Morrison's quiet revolution. My company's Instagram account, which I'd kept relatively low profile, gained 340,000 followers in 1 week. Our sales increased 47% as people wanted to support the humble CEO who proved everyone wrong. But the most surprising response came from other entrepreneurs. My business email flooded with messages. I'm building something my family doesn't believe in. Your story gave me permission to keep going. My parents told me to get a real job. I'm sending them your Wall Street Journal article. Thank you for showing us it's okay to outgrow the people who underestimated us. Sarah, my PR director, was ecstatic. Emily, you've become a symbol. This is bigger than Authentic Vintage now. This is about every person who's been dismissed by the people who should have believed in them. I just told the truth, I said. Sometimes that's revolutionary. 3 weeks after Easter, I visited Margaret's grave again. You should see it, Margaret. Everything you said would happen. The company's thriving. We're negotiating the Series B at a $680 million valuation. I'm building the Authentication Academy you and I dreamed about, training the next generation of experts. I arranged the fresh peonies. My family keeps calling. Mom wants to start over. Dad wants to be involved. Rachel sent me a long email apologizing and asking if we can rebuild our relationship. The wind rustled through the trees. I don't know if I'm ready yet. Part of me wants to let them in. Part of me remembers every dismissive comment, every comparison to Rachel, every time they made me feel small. I sat on the bench. What would you do? I could almost hear her voice. What do you want to do? Not what's fair, not what's right, not what's kind. What do you actually want? I thought about it. Really thought about it. I want them to know me. Not the CEO. Not the founder. Not the Wall Street Journal profile. Me. Emily. The person who still eats ramen sometimes because it reminds me of the early days. Who keeps your photo on my desk. Who cries during Pixar movies and maintains a perfect vintage t-shirt collection and quotes The Princess Bride at inappropriate moments. Then make them earn that privilege. Yeah, I said to the headstone. Yeah, that's exactly right. I sent my family an email that evening. I'm open to rebuilding our relationship, but on new terms. 1. No discussion of business unless I bring it up. I'm not a networking opportunity or a success story to brag about. I'm your daughter/sister. 2. No rewriting history. Own the dismissals, the comparisons, the times you made me feel worthless. Don't pretend you always believed in me. 3. Meet my chosen family. My team, my mentors, my friends. The people who believed in me when you didn't. Respect them. 4. Ask me questions. Real ones. About my life, my thoughts, my days. Not about my company's valuation or acquisition offers. 5. Time. I'll move at my pace, not yours. Some wounds heal slowly. If you can agree to these terms, we can start with coffee. 1 hour. No expectations beyond that. If you can't, I understand. But I won't pretend the past didn't happen just to make the present comfortable. Emily. Mom responded first. We agree. All of it. When? Dad, you're right about everything. We failed you. Coffee sounds good. Rachel, I'm going to therapy to figure out why I treated you that way. Can I call you next month? I scheduled coffee with my parents for the following Sunday. 1 hour. A neutral coffee shop. No expectations. When Sunday came, I arrived early. Ordered my usual oat milk latte. Sat by the window. They walked in looking nervous. Smaller somehow. Older. We sat down. Thank you for meeting us, Mom said quietly. Tell me something, I said. And I want you to be honest. When did you realize you didn't actually know me? Dad and Mom exchanged glances. Dad spoke first. When I read the Wall Street Journal article, Patricia Morrison described you as quietly revolutionary and strategically patient. She quoted your employees saying you remember everyone's coffee order and handwrite thank you notes for every work anniversary. His voice cracked. I realized I couldn't have described you to a stranger. Not really. Not beyond works at a boutique, and quieter than Rachel. Mom nodded. I called your office to yell at you. Your assistant answered. She said, Morrison is in a meeting, but she always makes time for family. Let me check if she can step out. The care in her voice when she talked about you. I realized your assistant knew you better than I did. We failed you, Dad said simply. Not in the ways we're supposed to tell you we did. But truly failed you. We looked at you and saw what we expected, not who you were. I sipped my coffee. Let the silence sit. I'm not sure I can forgive that quickly, I said. But I'm willing to try to rebuild something. It won't be what we had. It'll be different. We'll take different, Mom said. We'll take anything you're willing to give. We talked for 90 minutes. I told them about Margaret, about the early days of the business, about the moment I knew Authentic Vintage would work. They listened. Really listened. As we stood to leave, Dad hesitated. Emily, that business plan you mentioned. The one from when you were 19. Do you still have it? Yes. Why? Could I read it? Not to critique it. Just to see what I missed. I pulled out my phone. Forwarded it to him. Sure. He checked his email. Opened it. Started reading right there in the coffee shop. After 2 minutes he looked up. Tears in his eyes. This is brilliant. Emily, this is exactly what you built. 5 years before you built it, you knew. I know. And I told you to focus on being a good employee. He shook his head. I'm so sorry. I know that too. I touched his arm. But Dad, I don't need you to fix the past. I need you to be present in the future. Can you do that? Yes, he said firmly. Yes, I can. 6 months later, Authentic Vintage sold to a major luxury conglomerate for $425 million. I maintained creative control and stayed on as CEO with a 5-year contract. My personal take was $310 million after taxes. I started the Margaret Chin Foundation for Young Entrepreneurs, providing seed funding, mentorship, and belief to young people whose families don't support their dreams. First-year grant, $15 million to 127 entrepreneurs. Every recipient got the same letter I did. I'm betting on you not because of your credentials but because of your vision. Build something that matters. Make them look. My relationship with my family evolved slowly. Coffee became monthly dinners. Dinners became occasional holidays. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Rachel's wedding happened in September. She invited me. I went. When Marcus's mother asked about my business, Rachel interrupted. Mom Chin, Emily doesn't like to talk about work at family events. Did you know she has every line of The Princess Bride memorized? Emily, do the Rouse scene. I laughed. Did the scene. Rachel winked at me. Progress. At the reception, Dad pulled me aside. I've been reading your foundation's grant applications. These kids remind me of you. Brilliant ideas, no support. That's the point, I said. I was wondering. I'm retiring next year. Any chance the foundation could use a volunteer grant reviewer? Someone who's learned what real potential looks like. I studied his face. Saw genuine interest. Genuine regret. Genuine hope. Send me your application, I said. We'll see. He smiled. Thank you for the chance. Thank Margaret, I said. She's the one who taught me that everyone deserves someone who believes in them. Even people who didn't believe in themselves soon enough. The Wall Street Journal ran a follow-up piece 1 year later. Emily Morrison's Margaret Chin Foundation, betting on the dismissed. The final paragraph read, when asked what she wants her legacy to be, Morrison doesn't hesitate. I want every person who's been told they're not enough to know that the people who dismiss you are just admitting they can't see clearly. Build anyway. Succeed anyway. And when you do, remember who believed in you when believing cost something. Those are your people. Everyone else is just audience. I framed that paragraph. Hung it next to Margaret's photo in my office. Below it, I added one line in my own handwriting. I wasn't hiding. I was building. There's a difference. And there was.